Well, dwindling economic activities coupled with falling purchasing power has caused sharp declines in revenues of most manufacturing firms in Africa's largest economy. The Manufacturer CEO's Confidence Index survey carried out among business owners in the manufacturing sector for the second quarter of 2022, conducted by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, shows that issues around forex market, bank lending rates, government capital implementation, multiple taxes, overregulation of regulatory agencies, and sources for raw materials were some of the challenges dragged the growth sector, which have also constrained its performance on the global market scale. However, in spite of the harsh economic environment, many manufacturing companies have been able to surmount the economic headwinds by a growing revenue from sales and raking in good returns from shareholders. Let's talk more about running a business in this kind of environment, a challenging environment. I have a business enthusiast from Meristem Securities Limited, Dr. Femi Oladele. He joins me live in the studio. Dr. Oladele, thank you so much. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you so much for having me. I am delighted to be here, but I would prefer to just be called Femi.
Oh, okay. So I should just call you Femi, right? Okay, great stuff. Femi, let's start this conversation now around, let's just look at the environment itself. What would you say about businesses in Nigeria at the moment, considering the challenge that everyone faces? An overview of what you think is on ground at the moment for small businesses.
Thank you so much. That's an interesting question because before now, businesses have been having it tough. Running a business in Nigeria is a tough business, and itself is stressful for many entrepreneurs and has been a challenging issue around how businesses would survive the economic situation. Right now, we have so many issues that have joined forces, so to say, to make it more challenging.
Indeed, shaking the economic space.
Yes, shaking the economic space, really. So I would say that entrepreneurs, business owners, business managers are actually a little bit stressed by what is happening in the economy. I must, however, add that there is a lot of space for growth, and businesses can still thrive even in this current economic situation.
Interesting stuff. Now, how much of impact will these issues have on businesses?
Okay, so let me just highlight 3 issues. For example, the removal of the fuel subsidy. Olumide Eson mentioned that it's a significant challenge. The cost of petrol has more than doubled for many jurisdictions around the country. Also, we have the issue with the unification of the foreign exchange. And the third issue is the proposal for the electricity bill. Many business managers, as an accountant, for example, I would begin to make provisions for increase in electricity bills. So basically, we see all of these issues coming to play and impact the operational costs of businesses. And so I would say that aside the increasing costs to businesses in the past, now many businesses will be facing increased operational costs. And unfortunately, it appears like there is little room to cut costs, because if there were rooms to still cut costs, it's still better. But many businesses before now have been cutting costs. And now we are faced with situations where it looks like we have pulled the string to the extent that we can no longer pull the string. So I would say that the impact is significant, especially for businesses that are highly dependent on transportation and logistics who need that, and also foreign exchange.
Interesting stuff. But with all of this happening so fast, it is likely getting to business owners and managers. How can they manage or maintain their ability to take critical decisions at this time? Because people will tell you that just like the country is taking some bold steps, as a business person, you also have to take a bold step.
Yes, and that's a significant call to many business managers. You know, like I usually say, when we look at business development, running a business, it is just beyond looking at theories, because those theories have assumptions. Right now, many of those assumptions no longer hold, so business owners have to begin to look for ways out. So I'll give you for like 2 examples. Now, business owners there's a little bit of trust issues between business owners and government. they understand that, okay, the government can bring out a policy tomorrow that may not necessarily favor their business. But I must also add in this that many times when we say a business policy or a government policy does not favor a business, another business might be booming because of that policy. So it's two ways. If your business is impacted by the current situation, there are things that you could do, and I would like to highlight some of them maybe as we go on. So we understand here that basically we have a situation where businesses are trying, managers, they are human beings.
Yes.
And there's fear, there's phobia, there is, okay, I don't know if I would be able to continue to run this. Just before I joined here at the studio, I had a conversation, and someone was to deliver a package, and the package was to get to me at a cost that the person felt was too much.
Too much.
And so the person was considering, is there another way that we can do this business? So basically, I believe that how business managers can still maintain informed decision is to go back to data. Data does not lie. And that's why the accounting system for every business is essential. They know how their businesses have been running for quite some time, so they can figure out and say, okay, we can do this and we can do that. But essentially, going back to data. Number two, heavily adopting technology. Technology would definitely reduce
Since
costs.
COVID, I think Nigerians have opened up to technology. Just like, look at how we can have our Zoom calls, and, even if you don't come in here, we still have, you can still join, and we'll have a swell time. So you wanted to land with regards to some tough decisions that should be taken.
That should be taken. So, for example, if it is possible, businesses can consider changing their liquidity model. Okay, so basically, businesses want to profit. Then there is the issue of also maintaining a level of liquidity that ensures that they are still relevant. Many business owners and managers may not know how to handle the paradox between liquidity and profitability, and that's where treasury services come in. So it's better if a business cannot handle the treasury service to manage liquidity and profitability on their own, they could outsource that. There are many organizations that do that for them, and that's one decision they have to take. So they can't just let idle cash lie. They could also look at reinvesting idle cash in interest-bearing assets. Also, businesses could look at redefining their logistic model. So if your delivery was one-off or real-time before, you could consider batching. So you'd say, okay, we would batch all of our deliveries to so time, and we just deliver at that time. Also, another decision that businesses can take is to still look if there is a chance that there is something that can be cut. And like I mentioned, technology. So if you are heavily invested in stationery, you might begin to look at saying, okay, look, can we cut our stationery cost and use technology? I must also mention that technology is not cheap, but we know that technology provides a better way to reduce operational costs than using the manual system.
Sounds interesting. Now, of liquidity and profitability, what should be the most significant force for businesses now? Yeah, of course, they are very important: liquidity, profitability. But tell us what you think should be.
Well, this is an interesting question, because you're asking a question that requires an answer like saying, what should you prioritize? Is it sleep or food? Human beings need sleep and we need food to survive. So businesses need both profitability and liquidity to survive. The benchmark is, in what industry are you in? So I cannot give you a direct and single answer and say, oh, you should focus on liquidity. But it depends on the industry where you are. If your industry requires a little bit of profitability and can do more with liquidity, then you tend to focus more on ensuring that you are more liquid than more profitable. And if it's the other way around, then you ensure that your profit can carry you. It's actually, there is a thin line between both of them, but it depends on how we want to look at it. Sometimes for some businesses, what should concern them significantly is their liquidity base, because that determines if they will continue to exist into the future. And sometimes you just begin to look at, okay, what can I do now just to keep myself? And it's just like when someone engages in fasting. It's not as if the person is saying, I'm no longer going to eat forever, but it's just a short time. So businesses can look at the short time to manage their profitability and say, okay, see, don't let's chase profitability a lot headlong right now. Let's focus on just stabilizing. And at the end of the day, because I bet you very soon things will become better based on analysis that we have seen, reports that has been produced. Businesses are going to begin to enjoy very soon. For example, I don't know how true that is, but the use of CNG for vehicles, that's going to reduce costs.
At least dependence on PMS.
Yes, so, there are other, I believe that the government should be looking at strengthening policy and strategy in a way that it favors the business decisions, such that businesses can leverage on these policies to release great outcomes for them.
Great stuff. But of course, the government has a role to play in all of this. No matter how you try to be rugged, resilient, you still need the support from government. What sort of relief do you expect from government for businesses at this time?
Well, that is basically, government is an enabler. So they should focus on providing an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Now, many times when we talk about government, we look at the federal government, but we also know that we can look at even the local government and the state government. There are things that the state government and local governments can put in place to ensure that businesses thrive. So if it is possible for governments to cut down on some levies that are not necessarily significant to their own revenues, because we can't say government should cut down all revenues. There are some revenues that may not be necessarily significant for the running of the government business. So those revenues can be looked at. However, we have to understand that basically and more significantly, government should focus more on creating the enabling environment for businesses to thrive. For now, I can't say any specific relief that we are looking up to, because we are still hoping that government will release policies. But definitely, I want to believe that they are working towards that to ensure that, because if businesses and small businesses constitute the most significant among the business world, so if they cannot thrive, then it means that government also would suffer.
Of course.
Yeah, so I get that the government understands this and will be working towards ensuring that they thrive.
Well, almost finally, with coping with all of this development or what should businesses do? What more strategies can they adopt to thrive in all of this in totality?
I must say that I don't think there are short-term decisions that can be taken to help businesses as we speak right now, except cost-cutting or cost-saving measures. And I understand that many businesses have already gone through that route. But if it is possible, ways that cost can be cut down is through maybe moving hybrid or using the work from home models. Those might work for some type of organizations, but not all organizations. Not all. Yeah. So also,
for me, I have to be here.
Yeah, you have to be here, and you have to transport yourself.
Yeah.
And so, except we get you a different type of car.
Yeah,
that runs on water
or gas.
Okay.
Well, gas, I don't know how cheap that will be. Well, that's relative. Let's see how cheap it could be.
Yeah, there are promises that it's going to be cheap, but we don't know until we know. So we see that area where businesses can still cut costs. The second one is to look at their liquidity model. I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I did.
Liquidity model helps them to ensure that, okay, we can say we are meeting our obligations as and when due. Because if businesses rather begin to fail on their obligations, they begin to incur more costs. So if I'm supposed to pay on a loan and I default, I'm incurring more interest, and so my cost begins to increase.
Yeah.
And maybe finally on that, I think another decision that businesses can take is to see very significantly how to ensure that they are innovative.
True.
I believe that many times when we are pushed to the wall, we can say that you can get innovation from the rarest places. So when you get to that point where it looks like there is nothing more to do, you just be surprised that an idea will pop up, and that idea would be significant for sustaining your business. It's only businesses that survive this that will be able to tell the story tomorrow. If your business does not survive now, then you can't tell a story, a success story tomorrow. So I'm encouraging business owners and managers to ensure that they look at their liquidity model and see how they can still sustain that, and look at how they can leverage on technology to do what they usually would do manually. And also to look at if there is a business case that can be leveraged. For example, I mentioned the logistics. If you have to do real-time logistics before you could consider doing batching, you just apologize to your clients that, okay, we'll be supplying you your delivery, we'll be making your deliveries at so time, and so it reduces the cost. So instead of, say, for example, you are going to Ikoyi, you go to Ikoyi, you come back, you go to, so you can just batch and all of that. And more significant, innovation.
Innovation. Well, let's, any outlook, just in 1 minute, what's your outlook despite all of these challenges, maybe for this year? To me, it looks like a gradual thing, you know, looking at all of the challenges and tough decisions are already taken by government.
We're half year already, and in this half year, we have experienced a lot of ups and downs. So it's looking like this year is going to be impacted. The profitability of many businesses is going to be impacted. When we begin to see financial statements next year, we begin to see that, and I think that many business managers would want to hide on that, you know that the economy was not so good in 2023. But I bet you there will be businesses that will be posting lots and heavy profits. And you'll be wondering, how come? For example, I feel that IT, banking would definitely receive a boost. And thank God the Nigerian equities market is responding favorably to all of these situations. So it's not necessarily gloomy for all businesses, but we expect to see profitability figures falling. But I feel that from the fourth quarter of this year, we might begin to see some level of stability.
I must thank you so much for your time, Dr. Femi Oladele, business enthusiast from Meristem Securities Limited. It's the first time on the show. We appreciate this. We hope to have you in subsequently.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, they're interesting stuff.